Welcome to The Explainer. So if you've ever felt like your English sentences were just missing a little bit of structural integrity to hold your ideas together, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're opening up the Builder's Toolkit to completely master English determiners. Think of this as our foundational grammar seminar. We're going to take those tiny, seemingly invisible little words and discover how they're actually the load-bearing pillars of precise, natural-sounding English. Let's just dive right in.
Okay, so should you say all my friends or all of my friends? It's a classic grammatical dilemma, isn't it? I mean, have you ever paused mid-sentence, suddenly totally unsure if you need to throw an of in there? Or maybe you've wondered how to correctly combine a number with a word like some or many. Well, bring that curiosity with you, because we are going to solve this exact puzzle and a whole lot of others with absolute certainty today. By the end of this explainer, you won't just guess which one is right, you're going to know exactly why.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, meet your nouns signposts. Second, the 5 determiner families. Third, combining quantifiers and numbers. Fourth, crossing the of bridge. And finally, the special all exception.
All right, section 1. Meet your noun signposts. Before we actually look at the specific words themselves, we really need to understand what function they serve. In English, you can kind of think of nouns as entities that are walking around a bit exposed. To make grammatical sense and to fit perfectly into a sentence, they almost always need a little bit of grammatical clothing. And that clothing comes in the form of determiners. These are words we put directly before nouns to give more information. Think of them as signposts. They sit right in front of the noun and point the listener in the right direction, answering fundamental questions like, which one are we talking about? How many are there? Or whose is it? They literally guide your listener to understand your exact, specific reality.
Now, saying I bought book yesterday makes perfect sense in some languages, but in English, leaving out that determiner makes the speech sound really unnatural and incomplete. Adding that single tiny letter A, saying I bought a book yesterday, acts as a signpost telling the listener, hey, I'm talking about one general item. These small words really do make a massive difference in fluency.
Moving into section 2, the 5 determiner families.
Now that we know why we need them, let's open up the toolkit itself. Determiners aren't just articles like and the. We actually have 5 distinct families to organize. We've got articles, which deal with general versus specific, demonstratives, which handle distance, interrogatives, which help us ask questions, possessives, which show ownership, and quantifiers, which tell us how much or how many. Categorizing them just like this is going to make the advanced grammar rules so much easier to grasp later on.
Let's start with the most common family, articles. We use a or an for general, singular things. But here is the golden rule. The choice between a and an depends entirely on the sound of the next word, not the spelling. So we say an honest person because honest starts with an O vowel sound, even though it physically starts with a consonant H. And we say a university because it starts with a U consonant sound, despite starting with a vowel letter. And of course we use the when both you and the listener know exactly which specific thing is being discussed, or if there's only one of it in existence, like the sun.
Moving on to demonstrative determiners, and honestly, it's fascinating how perfectly logical these are. We map demonstratives by distance, so near or far, and by number, singular or plural. Singular and near, this cake is delicious. Plural and near, these shoes are mine. Singular and far, that mountain is huge. Plural and far, those houses. Notice how you intuitively use these combinations to map your physical reality in real time. You're instantly communicating spatial relationships to your listener.
Next up, we have interrogative determiners. These are used to ask questions about nouns, like what, which, and whose. But, and pay attention here, this is a mistake even native speakers make all the time in writing. We have whose shoes are these, spelled W-H-O-S-E. That asks about possession. Then we have who's at the door, spelled W-H-O''S. That is simply a contraction for who is or who has. So the absolutely crucial point here is never use the apostrophe version when you're asking who owns something.
And speaking of possession and apostrophes, let's look at possessive determiners. My, your, his, her, its, our, and their. They show ownership. But notice that possessive determiners never, ever use apostrophes. Words like hers or yours with an S act entirely alone as pronouns. A determiner must always sit right before a noun. Like in the sentence, her brother lives in New York. Her acts as the signpost for the noun, brother.
All right, section 3, combining quantifiers and numbers.
With our basic tool set in hand, we can shift gears into some more advanced mechanics. This is where you go from speaking basic English to commanding the language with absolute precision. Often, we need to compare quantities, right? We can combine quantifying determiners with numbers or with each other to build exact measurements. So instead of just saying many people, we upgrade it to many more people. With uncountable nouns, we say a little less sugar, and for countable nouns with numbers, 3 fewer parts. Mentally repeat those phrases to yourself for a second. Many more, a little less, 3 fewer. See what we're doing? You are taking basic concepts and giving them a highly specific mathematical value. Section 4. Crossing the of bridge.
Okay, we are about to cover a highly technical but absolutely crucial rule. What happens when you want to put a quantifying determiner right before another determiner, like my or these? Well, they're going to clash unless you build a bridge between them. Step 1, we start with a quantifier, let's say some. Step 2, we insert our bridge, the preposition of. Step 3, our second determiner, my. And step 4, the noun, best memories. Put it together, some of my best memories. You almost always need that of bridge to connect a quantity to a specific determined thing.
Let's see this bridge in action with a little bit of feeling. When you say these out loud, feel how natural that of makes the sentence flow. I don't like any of these drinks. The teacher spoke to each of the students. Or, if you're feeling frustrated, I've had enough of this noise. Notice how seamlessly of connects the quantifier, any, each, enough, to the specific determiner, these, the, this. It's literally the linguistic glue holding these complex thoughts together.
Finally, Section 5, the special all exception.
For our final rule, English is actually going to give us a bit of a break. And this brings us back to the very first question I asked you today. We ate all of the food versus we ate all the food. I am so happy to report that for the word all, using the of bridge is completely optional. Both of these versions are 100% grammatically correct and sound completely natural. You can say all my friends or all of my friends, all his time or all of his time. You truly cannot get it wrong.
However, there is one strict boundary to this rule. Actually, let's call it the one catch. If the next word after all is a pronoun, like us, you, or them, you absolutely must use the of bridge. That optional rule completely vanishes.
To make this stick in your memory, let's contrast it directly. You can say all of them agreed, because them is a pronoun, which makes the bridge mandatory. But all them agreed is incorrect. It sounds super jarring to the ear, and you want to avoid it entirely. The same goes for all of us or a gift for all of you. Just remember, always use the bridge before a pronoun.
So, as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. We've spent this explainer looking at some of the absolute shortest words in the English dictionary, the, this, some, all of. But how does mastering these tiny, seemingly invisible words fundamentally change our power to shape reality and communicate clearly? The truth is, determiners aren't just dry grammar. They are the exact lenses through which we focus the listener's attention. They turn vague concepts into exact, measurable, and owned realities. So the next time you speak or write, pay attention to the signposts you're planting, because small words truly do make the biggest difference. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.